Hello and welcome to another episode of Sharing is Caring. I'm Emma Wood, a boudoir photographer, published author and self-love advocate. And today I'm here to introduce you to another inspiration. Rosie is one of my beauty ambassadors and has been since the beginning of 2019. And that's exactly when her self-love journey started and our fabulous friendship. She is definitely one of my favorite people. She's also Courtney's sister. So Courtney was our December Sharing is Caring video and inspiration. So if you have not checked out her video, then please do so. I will leave the link up here. I don't know which side. And without further ado, let's meet Rosie. Rosie, I am so glad that you said yes to sharing your self-love story. I can't believe that we have been friends for all this time now. It's like we're in our fourth year and it seems to have gone so fast. And I just love that where your story, your self-love story kind of begins is how our friendship began as well. And I just really love that. So I'm going to jump in and ask you some questions about your self-love journey. So first up is, how long have you been prioritizing you? How long have you been on your self-love journey?
Okay, so first I do want to say thank you as well for accepting me as a beauty ambassador. Like you said, that's pretty much where our friendship journey has began as well. And quite honestly, that's probably right around the time that I started putting myself first as well. In the winter of 2018, I just kind of woke up one day and I was just like, I need a change. Something had to give in my life that, could allow me to just wake up happier every day and be more accepting of myself and, just feel, I guess, content. I don't know. Content is a funny word, right? Because content to me makes me feel like settling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to be happier. I was really struggling. I was struggling on a in a body image sense, feeling like just so not worthy of a lot of things in my life at that time. And so I just kind of woke up and decided I needed a change. So my first step was to probably get my health back, like fitness wise, and mentally was a big thing. And then shortly after that is when I saw your call out for a beauty ambassador, and we met for coffee, and everything that you had to say, I was like, well, I have a story to share, so I am all about this. So that's kind of when it all started for me, was like the winter 2018 2019, and I've tried to just push forward since. It's been a little bit of a roller coaster. Everybody I think has their days, but for the most part, it's been a very positive journey for me.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you, I know you saw this beauty ambassador opportunity, not just to inspire others, but for your own personal growth. And I love that.
Yeah, it's been one of those things where I didn't really know. Like, I think my mindset was, yeah, I totally want to try and inspire other people. But I found it was so life-changing for me, first and foremost. And now it's like, sometimes I don't even feel like I'm, really inspiring anybody else until somebody says something to me or mentions it, right? Like, oh, your story, I can kind of relate to it or whatever, or just watching your journey yourself has been such an inspiration to me. So it's been interesting to see, like, just exactly where it's kind of all come full circle.
Yeah, And it's interesting that you say that about how you don't know if you're inspiring others. And I think um, just kind of reflecting on that, I feel like probably the people that are inspired by what you've got to say are still early on in their self-love journey. So they may not even have the confidence to reach out or speak up and say, oh, you're helping me. So I don't think we get to
Right.
know the impact that we are making on other people. But it is always nice to know too.
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next question. What has been your biggest growth moment in that time?
I think a big part of my growth has obviously come with, stepping outside of my comfort zone and doing the boudoir photo shoots with you. I've always kind of been shy with like the camera, I guess. I always feel like I take such terrible pictures first and foremost. So that was a big thing for me. But you allowed me to see myself like just through a totally different lens, I guess, than what I would normally see myself. And it really, really did help, because now, when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't see, my imperfections anymore, really. And if they are there, or if I do notice them, I'm just like, well, that's me, right? Like, and I have to love it because it's not going anywhere. So that was probably a big thing for me. And I've done 3 photo shoots with you, and every single one I've taken away something different. So I'm just so grateful for that. Another part of my growth has really come with accepting that not everybody's gonna love me. I've been such a people pleaser my entire life, and the last few years I've had to learn to say no to people. I've had to learn to, how to put myself first and not feel guilty about that. And I've lost friendships. I've, you know, it's hard to explain it until you actually really experience it. But for me, it was always like I just tried to always fit in, always wanted to fit into different groups, different circles, different friendships, different molds of what I thought people wanted me to be, right? And that goes with my family, that was with my marriage, that was with friendships, even work, So a big part of it is like, now people just really need to accept me for who I am. Again, I still have, there's moments where I'm just like, oh, why doesn't this person like this part about me or whatever? But I try to reel it in when my brain takes me to those places, or I just, figure out, okay, well, maybe that person is just not for me to have in my life, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So yeah, those 2 probably have been the most rewarding and most impactful moments for me.
Yeah, it's so important it is important to be yourself, because in doing so you are going to attract the right people. And also, people have got to remember, so anyone that's like on their self-love journey or just starting out or wanting to start, it's not perfect. Life, it's not perfect. Things are going to happen. These insecurities that you have dealt with, that you have overcome, they may creep back, maybe because you're overtired, or whatever is happening. It's all about, this has always stuck in my mind. Joanna once said it on a post. She says, it's okay to go there, just don't unpack there. So recognizing, oh, this thing has come back, and I'm not going to let it take over, and I'm just going to feel the feels, and then I'm going to move on from it. So yeah, it's not about oh, I'm fixed and suddenly I'm all this positive stuff. It's just about having those tools to manage it and get through things if they do come back. So yeah. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that
exactly. I'm a perfect example of that. Like I'll have moments where, something will affect me, and it can last an hour or it can last a week, right? It just all depends on the situation and what's going on with me at that moment. But I always manage to figure it out and work myself way like back out of it. So
yeah, that's the most important thing that you can do. Yeah, it's
yeah.
perfect. So what would you say then? Obviously, you've talked about how your boudoir sessions, you've had 3, they were all different. You took something different from each of them. And you've also kind of referred to, your health and your fitness as well. So what would you say, which, I guess, self-love or self-care tools have provided you with the biggest impact or change in your life over the last 3 or 4 years?
I think like recognizing when I need to put those tools to work, right? Like I said, I'm a people pleaser, and I'm go all the time. I'm doing fitness 5 days a week. I work full time. I'm a full-time mom, beauty ambassador. Like it's a constant go. But I like to keep busy, don't get me wrong. But there's moments where, there's triggers that I'd be like, okay, Rosie, you need to slow down. You need to put everyone else kind of on the shelf for the time being and take care of you. So I think recognition is a big thing. What I do in those moments will just depend on really what I have going on in my life. I've found, when I'm really struggling, I need to just jump in my car and go on a solo road trip, whether it's, out of town for a weekend or just even I'll jump in my car at 10 o'clock at night and just go and sit with the stars and the moon and listen to music in my car, just to, take some deep breaths and just kind of recollect my thoughts of where I'm at, and then jumping in a bubble bath and putting on a face mask. Although I do that sometimes, the most beneficial for me to get back into that, loving me routine. So
yeah, and it's good that you mention how, it depends on what's happening as to what you may choose to do in that moment. And it's also important for other people to know that these tools that, get brought up, whether we bring it up today with Rosie or in previous episodes of Sharing is Caring, you got to find what works for you. Everybody, has different tools, and we may say what, Rosie will say what works for her, I'll say what works for me, but at the end of the day, neither of those things may work for you, and it's about figuring out what that is, and it might take time, so you just got to have a little patience there, right? So what struggles have you faced, Rosie, in like figuring out what your tools are, or just, on your self-love journey in general?
Probably more recently has been the acceptance of my aging body. As silly as it sounds, everybody ages, and I think everybody ages differently. It's been like, when I think about age, I don't feel like I'm old, if that makes sense. Okay. And then the other day I was having a conversation with my son's stepmom, and I said out loud that my son is going to be a quarter of a century old this year. And that just like blew my mind. But it doesn't make me feel old. It just like, wow, my kids are aging. I'm not, but they are. But then, I wake up in things, you know, my hair, and I've gone, oh my gosh, I've gone 10 months without having it colored. And now I'm just like, oh, I need to do it. I need to color it. I was trying so hard to just accept it, but I don't love it. Like, because it affects me when I look at myself in the mirror, and I hate that feeling, right? No matter how hard I've tried, it's just, I look and I'm like, ugh. Doesn't matter what I do. If it's done, if it's not done, it brings me down a little bit. So the aging, I think a little bit has affected me. I don't know. I think really that's probably about it. Because not only is it like an appearance thing with aging, it's, you know, the emotions, like your body goes through so much crazy stuff. And especially women, right? There's menopause and premenopause, and I don't have my mom around anymore. So not having her here to ask, like, you know, when did this start affecting you? Or can you give me some insight on this or whatever? Like, I just kind of have to figure it out on my own. And some days it's just like, it's such turmoil that I'm like, I don't even want to be around myself because it's so hard. But it's life, right? So you have to kind of just, you figure it out, and I don't know, you do what you do with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I know, like I prompt you with these questions ahead of time, so you're not like on the spot, but I do have another question that just arose from that. And I guess it's a question that I have asked others before, and probably within our Be You Uplifted group too. Like, obviously, I'm all about authenticity. I'm all about being yourself. But where does that line kind of like start and end, right? So like, just from you talking about, you know, you're struggling to accept your graying hair. So you're like, I'm going to go get it colored, right? So some people would argue that that's not being entirely authentic. But then on the other side, it's like, well, maybe that's what I've always done, not because of my graying hair, but just because I love to color my hair, and I love to like have fun and, you know, have a different look and that kind of thing. So what are your thoughts on that, like changing how you look to help with the acceptance, I guess?
You know, it's actually funny that you asked me this, because I had a moment a couple weeks ago where I was thinking about, you know, all the self-love or self-care gifts that we give ourselves, right? Hair coloring being one of them, getting our nails done, you know, facials, massages, getting your eyelashes done, having Botox, whatever, right? And I asked myself, like, are any of those things that I would be doing today if I was ever in a financial position to do it? If that makes any sense. So like, I understand that, you know, people treat themselves. I get that. But I guess for me, I've never really been in a financial position, and maybe this isn't the right way to say this, but like hair coloring, that's why I stopped, was because it's such a financial commitment, and my hair grows in so fast that it's like, I can't upkeep it. It's an expense where I could put that money towards paying off bills or buying groceries or whatever, right? So it was a luxury for me that I just had to take off the table because it was getting too expensive for me. I'm a one income household, and you know, I've got bills to pay. So, and I feel like I also treat myself to other things that I love more, that I can do daily, that I benefit from, right? Like paying for fitness and just things like that. So I don't know. The line, I don't know where it begins or stops, right? Like, I think about that because my daughter, she's 16, and she's been asking me about getting her hair colored, like just putting in some foils, making it a little bit blonder right now. And I was like, I'm like, no, you're beautiful just the way you are. Why do you want to do that? Right. And I remember, like, back in my school days, it was a fad to color your hair, right? We box dyed all the time.
Yeah.
But then you get older and you start seeing a hairstylist and they're like, oh my gosh, your hair's so unhealthy. How much did you box dye it? How much did you bleach it or whatever? So then like now I'm like, I don't want to do strenuous things to my hair because I have healthy hair. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, look at this, you know? So, but again, am I going to color it and then be so angry at myself because now I'm back into that financial commitment again, right? Because it's not a quick fix. It's not, or I mean, it is a quick fix. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that really answers the question. Probably not, but yeah.
I love where we went with it though. I really do. I think it's super interesting just to, you know, hear people's opinions and thoughts on all of that, right? So yeah. Is my internet? I think my internet's screwing up. Are you still there?
Oh, you glitched.
Oh, I know. Terrible. I'm back.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Okay, so what do you love about being you, Rosie?
Oh, honestly, there's a few things. I do. Obviously, like my authenticity in just being the person that I am, and again, not caring what other people think. I'm weird in my own ways. I definitely have my own little quirks. I'm brutally honest, but in the most like tender, loving way, I think. And you know, I'm a person that has a big heart, but I also am very capable of showing tough love when I have to. Sometimes maybe not to myself. But yeah, I think just being okay with the person that you've grown into. Like there's been lots of stages of my life. Like I said, you know, I was one person where I tried to fit in all the time, and maybe that probably made me really unauthentic. And now, because I don't think that way and don't want to be that way, I think that just makes me a little bit more authentic in my own skin, right? So
yeah,
I think that's about it.
Yeah. I love it. Actually, as we glitched, well, just before we glitched, I had a question, and because we were glitching, like I squirreled, I was like, "Oh no, don't screw up on us here," and I totally forgot the question, but or comment, I should say. But when it comes to something we don't necessarily like about ourselves, like I look at your hair and I think it's so beautiful, and I like my hair doesn't grow fast, you know, and your hair does look really healthy to me, and all I see is beautiful hair. But I just think it doesn't matter how many people or how many times somebody tells us how beautiful our hair is. If we don't see it ourselves, we're just not going to see it, right? So that's why it's super important to work on yourself and work on accepting these things.
Well, and with you saying that, that makes a valid point, because I was thinking as I was getting ready for this Zoom meeting, I'm like, I never look like this at this time of the day. I'm usually in workout wear, my hair's in a top knot on top of my head, or, you know, it's dirty from the day before because I worked out, or whatever the case may be, right? So that's probably a part of it too, right? Like I only see myself in this daily routine because I'm working from home. So I'm like, oh, so maybe I should just like schedule pretend Zoom meetings every day. Just to get myself at least my hair done and some mascara on. I don't know, because I'm looking at myself in the camera right now. I'm like, oh, actually, it's not that bad.
No, it really isn't.
Kind of funny.
Oh, that's funny.
And last week I curled my hair, and someone I hadn't seen for, I don't know, a couple weeks maybe, they saw me with my hair curled, and they're like, oh, like, did you just get your hair done? Because just the way the color comes in when it's curly, I guess.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it looks blonde around the ends or something. It looks really nice. And I was like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hasn't been done since like April last year. So
That's funny you should say that too, because that happened to me last week. I got 2 compliments about my hair, and I was like thinking about, obviously I said thank you, I was very appreciative, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, literally the only difference is I've brushed it and I've straightened it and actually made an effort with it instead of like just tying it up.
yeah, exactly.
Like, what a difference making an effort makes.
Seriously though, it's so funny. And it does. I mean, it boosts you, right? Like,
yes,
it's the littlest thing that you can do for yourself, but we just, whatever reason, we don't do it. I don't know.
Yeah, so very true. I'm throwing another bonus question in here. I'm sorry, don't kill me. So if you've read the other Sharing is Caring blogs or seen the videos, like your sister Courtney was on, and I called her, or we call her, the self-care queen. And then we have Kayla, who is I named her the body confidence coach. And then Sarah actually named herself the self-love rookie.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What would you name yourself?
I knew this was coming as soon as you started that. I don't know. I feel like I have like a tag, but I don't know what it would be. I mean, I have to think about it, I think. Unless you have something.
The only one I can think of is SelfLove Legend, because you are.
I like Legend.
Yeah, all right. Let's stick with that then.
All right. SelfLove Legend it is.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, well, that's it. Thank you to the SelfLove Legend for joining me and inspiring you. That's awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me today, and just your overall friendship has been such a blessing to my life.
Oh, yeah, me too. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.